The Olympic Games, which originated in ancient Greece as many as 3,000 years ago, were revived in the late 19th century and have become the world's preeminent sporting competition. From the 8th century BC to the 4th century AD, the Games were held every 4 years in Olympia, located in the western Peloponnese Peninsula, in honor of the god Zeus. The first modern Olympics took place in 1896 in Athens and featured 280 participants from 12 nations, competing in 43 events. Since 1994, the Summer and Winter Olympic Games have been held separately and have alternated every 2 years. The 2022 Winter Olympics will be held from February 4th to February 20th, 2022 in Beijing, China, and feature figure skating, ice hockey, curling, and more. The Olympics begin in ancient Greece. The first written records of the ancient Olympic Games date to 776 BC, when a cook named Coroebus won the only event, a 192-meter foot race called the Stade, the origin of the modern stadium, to become the first Olympic champion. However, it is generally believed that the Games had been going on for many years by that time. Legend has it that Heracles, the Roman Hercules, son of Zeus and the mortal woman Alcmene, founded the Games, which by the end of the 6th century BC had become the most famous of all Greek sporting festivals. The ancient Olympics were held every 4 years between August 6th and September 19th during a religious festival honoring Zeus. The Games were named for their location at Olympia, a sacred site located near the western coast of the Peloponnese Peninsula in southern Greece. Their influence was so great that ancient historians began to measure time by the 4-year increments in between Olympic Games, which were known as Olympiads. After 13 Olympiads, 2 more races joined the Stade as Olympic events. The Diaulos, roughly equal to today's 400-meter race, and the Delikos, a longer distance race, possibly comparable to the 1,500-meter or 5,000-meter event. The pentathlon, consisting of 5 events, a foot race, a long jump, discus and javelin throws, and a wrestling match, was introduced in 708 BC. Boxing in 688 BC, and chariot racing in 680 BC. In 648 BC, pankration, a combination of boxing and wrestling with virtually no rules, debuted as an Olympic event. Participation in the ancient Olympic Games was initially limited to freeborn male citizens of Greece. There were no women's events, and married women were prohibited from attending the competition. Decline and revival of the Olympic tradition. After the Roman Empire conquered Greece in the mid-2nd century BC, the Games continued, but their standards and quality declined. In one notorious example from AD 67, the decadent Emperor Nero entered an Olympic chariot race, only to disgrace himself by declaring himself the winner even after he fell off his chariot during the event. In AD 393, Emperor Theodosius Raymond, a Christian, called for a ban on all pagan festivals, ending the ancient Olympic tradition after nearly 12 centuries. It would be another 1,500 years before the Games would rise again, largely thanks to the efforts of Baron Pierre de Coubertin of France. Dedicated to the promotion of physical education, the young baron became inspired by the idea of creating a modern Olympic Games after visiting the ancient Olympic site. In November 1892, at a meeting of the Union des Sports Athletiques in Paris, Coubertin proposed the idea of reviving the Olympics as an international athletic competition held every 4 years. 2 years later, he got the approval he needed to found the International Olympic Committee, which would become the governing body of the modern Olympic Games. The Olympics through the years. The first modern Olympics were held in Athens, Greece in 1896. In the opening ceremony, King Georgios I and a crowd of 60,000 spectators welcomed 280 participants from 12 nations. It would compete in 43 events, including track and field, gymnastics, swimming, wrestling, cycling, tennis, weightlifting, shooting, and fencing. All subsequent Olympiads have been numbered even when no games take place, as in 1916 during World War I and in 1940 and 1944 during World War II. The official symbol of the modern games is 5 interlocking colored rings representing the continents of North and South America, Asia, Africa, Europe, and Australia. The Olympic flag, featuring this symbol on a white background, flew for the first time at the Antwerp Games in 1920. The Olympics truly took off as an international sporting event after 1924, when the V8 Games were held in Paris. Some 3,000 athletes, with more than 100 women among them, from 44 nations competed that year, and for the first time, the Games featured a closing ceremony. The Winter Olympics debuted that year, including such events as figure skating, ice hockey, bobsledding, and the biathlon. 80 years later, when the 2004 Summer Olympics returned to Athens for the first time in more than a century, nearly 11,000 athletes from a record 201 countries competed. In a gesture that joined both ancient and modern Olympic traditions, the shot put competition that year was held at the site of the classical games in Olympia. What are your thoughts on the Olympic Games? Do you like this event? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you for watching. Until next time.